Welcome to another game hosted by me, RJB. Oh, that rhymes so nicely. And let's ignore the embarrassing introduction that I just did and let's get to the match. Again, we have the player Doyou, who's playing the blue Protoss on spot number 3. He's up against HamburgerSaSu, aka DDaKKu, and he is playing the purple Protoss on spot number 11. These two players have a little bit of a history amongst each other, as Doyou is known as Gas Filter, JH, Hare, and Gas Filter, and I already said that, a bunch of other names too, and he is playing, he's got like 200 matches played against Sasu, so we'll be seeing this combination of Doyou and the player who he really is against Sasu a lot on my channel, because I've got way too many Sasu replays, and every single Sasu replay is most of the time quite amusing to watch, because the guy is, as I've mentioned in the other videos before, and as you've probably seen yourself, he is a pretty good player. And so is Doyou. He's also a pretty good player. And they're playing Protoss against Protoss. Purple against blue. And they both start off with, completely in sync, a Nexus. So we won't be seeing any very early aggression. And Doyou starts with a gateway before Sasu, and Sasu makes a forge, followed up by a gateway, and Doyou gets an assimilator for early gas out, whereas Sasu just sticks with the gateway and the forge, so he's going to be playing a defensive strategy, whereas Doyou, I think, will be playing a more aggressive strategy off of this one Nexus, though he now also has a forge out. Sasu is making a pylon instead of a simulator, and he's going for a second gateway. Unlike Doyou, who's sticking to a single gateway, and he's now making a cybernetics core. Sasu is going for the 3 gateway build, and there is now a cannon being produced or constructed. Actually, the Protoss warp in their building, so it's not being constructed or whatever, it's being warped in. He's warping in a cannon from the home base of Ayur. Doyou now on 2 gas, Sasu still on 0 gas. He's making a zealot. Doyou already has a zealot out. Sasu now scouts Doyou, and he's going to lose the probe that he was trying to scout with. So he still actually does not completely know whether Doyou is in that location or not, but I assume that he thinks that he's there, which is the correct assumption. And there's a Citadel of Adun, there's a second gateway. Still no gas for Sasu. Sasu now starting another pylon. He's not made a cybernetics core yet. He's completely committing to a 3 gateway zealot build, which might actually not be favorable for him, because Doyou will have Dark Templars out, because that's the only thing he can do when he's going for that early Citadel of Adun on a low gateway build. There is the 3rd gateway. He is trying to fight Sasu now. He's going to go for probe hunting, but there's a cannon at the probe, so he won't be able to kill probes, and there's some really sweet stutter stepping from Sasu, trying to deal as much damage to the zealot as he can, and the zealot is going to walk into the cannon and die to the cannon. Well, it gets blocked by the zealots, and yeah, he did scout what? Well, he just scouted the forward portion of Sasu's base, as you can see here. Just this little portion that he saw. He didn't actually see the Nexus even. He didn't see the gases, but he did see the lack of a cybernetics core. Though he did see the back part here, where he could have built the cybernetics core as well. But I think that Doyou knows that Sasu didn't have a cybernetics core out yet. There is a Templar Archives almost finished, and he's almost on 4 gateways. The 4th one is being warped in. 3 have finished, and 3 are finishing, are constructing. Actually, they're warping in zealots, not constructing them. And there is a there's a Dark Templar, a Zealot, and a High Templar being warped in by Doyou, and Doyou is now also on 2 gases, whereas Sasu's on 3 gas now, and has now started also a robotic facility and making a 4th gateway, still happily, a 5th gateway even, still happily pumping out zealots, and he's looking for a weak spot in Doyou's base, so he's circling around Doyou's main base, looking for an opening to abuse with his zealots, and he finds a robotics facility, and is going to take down a robotics facility with his zealots, and there is a Dark Templar, there is a regular Templar, and the zealots and the Dark Templar are taking down and trying to stop Sasu from killing the robotic facility, but he kills the robotic facility, and he also kills the Dark Templar that Doyou just finished. Doyou sent it in there by mistake. Doyou adding on 2 more gateways, and he's upgrading a Storm upgrade and Zealot lags, whereas Sasu is going for Dragoon range and ground weapon upgrade. So there are the Dragoons, and he's there making an observatory, so he's going for the Dragoon Observer combo, which gives him more room to micro. But Doyou is trying to counteract the micro capability of Dragoons by adding on a lot of gateways, a lot of gateways. There's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 gateways, from which you will be able to produce Zealot lagged Zealots and perhaps some Dark Templars too. And the question is now, will Sasu be able to out micro Doyou with his Dragoons? And there is a Dark Templar out now. He's just waiting for the Observer to finish. The Observer is finished, and the Dark Templar kills a probe with a single hit. And Sasu is sending his units in to kill the Dark Templar. The Dark Templar is now attacking the Dragoons, but the Dark Templar goes down to the Observer as the Observer spots it. And now both players on 88 Psi. There's a Templar out for Doyou. Doyou is going to try to maneuver the Templar around and storm Sasu's minerals from behind or from the side, while he is distracting him with his Zealots. But the Zealots get forced out of his base really quickly and really early by this mass of Dragoons and Zealots, and the Templar is walking in while he's fighting on the side, and Sasu spots the Templar. Will he be able to take down the Templar? The Templar gets the storm off, and the Templar kills 7 probes in total. Sasu wasn't in time, but only 7 probes. That's a very, very lucky little catch. A very good reaction from Sasu by pulling off his probes before the storm could kill too many probes. And now Doyou is pulling back his units. There's a Templar there too, which he tried to do the same move as he did just earlier, though he's used the storm on Dragoons. And now he has making weapon upgrade too, and he's also making Dragoon range, and he's adding on a robotic facility and another robotic facility, a cannon and a robotic facility actually, and making more gateways. Although this gateway, this one was a mistake, because now this gateway is blocked and can only produce Zealots and cannot make any Dragoons. Although I think he's going to commit to mostly Zealots. I mean, cannons. No, there's pylons, cannons. He's just grouping up his units. He is ahead of Sasu. He's 134 against 120. It's all because he had way more gateways than Sasu did. And Sasu, I hope, will catch up in the near future, though he's still on a way lower Stargate count. And there, a single Reaver that he had, I assume, went down. The Reaver is still flying around. The Reaver here picks up and kills a Zealot, and he quickly picks up the Reaver, and the shuttle now dies to a shuttle. I think that was a complete misclick. So they kind of wasted his Reaver shuttle completely. But he still has the Reaver finish production there. And now Zealots are attacking the Dragoons, but the Dragoons have a really good surround on Doyou's units, and Doyou's units are dying way faster than Sasu's units are dying. And Doyou now decides to pull back because he knows he cannot win this fight, and he has to regroup and ball up his units and wait for the second wave. And now there's a shuttle out for Doyou. Doyou there has also made a Templar and making more shuttles. And there is also a... Where is this? There's his robotic support base, now adding on a second forge so we can upgrade shields or armor. And he has his units balled up outside of Sasu's choke. Sasu has his units spread out across his base in order to intercept any drops that Doyou will send into his base. And there is a Reaver, there's a shuttle, so we can now Reaver shuttle micro again. I hope he does not waste this one as he wasted the last one. There is a Citadel of a Dune, so he's planning on adding a Templar's Archive after that, so we can start Templar production. And there's the shuttle. The shuttle is pulled back in time. He drops the Reaver out. The Reaver gets his shot off. No, the Reaver doesn't get a shot off. The Reaver ignores the enemy units, and he picks it up again. And that's 175 supply for Doyou against 154 supply for Sasu. But Sayu has a Reaver in there, and the Reaver can potentially change the fate of his game completely. And let's zoom out a little bit and hide that one. And Sasu is now chasing Doyou's units away from the middle section, and Doyou is taking a lot of damage as he is not attacking back. But this shuttle with a Templar and a Zealot in it flies around safely, unspotted by Sasu, and Sasu is here now losing a lot of Dragoons to the Zealots and the Dragoons, and has to pull back, and he's getting attacked from two sides. He's getting pincer moved. Some of his Dragoons that storm, but he dodges the storm. The Reaver is unloaded, and Doyou does not focus the Reaver. Sasu now trying to pick up the Reaver. Sasu's flying back and forth on top of the Reaver. He picks up the Reaver, brings the Reaver back to safety, and it looks like he wins the fight as he comes down on top, although both sides have had their unit mass significantly diminished, and there comes the drop for Doyou, and Doyou unloads a Templar, and the Templar gets a Storm, and the Templar kills 8 probes in total, maybe even more. But Sasu manages to prevent his doom as he manages to save most of his probes, and there is a Reaver now flying in inside the shuttle, and he's flying in along the top side of Doyou's base, and it gets into Doyou's main nexus area, and he unloads it, and he doesn't get a shut off. The Reaver dies before it can shoot on Doyou's probes, and Doyou's probes were split up really nicely. But that's really unfortunate for Sasu that he's unable to fight that off. And now Sasu, having lost some of his workers and having way less gateways than Doyou, is on a way lower supply count, 136 against 200. And Doyou now pushing in, spreading his units out inside of Sasu's base. Sasu trying to spread out his units in response. But there are way more units for Doyou, and now Doyou throws out the BM. I'm not sure what he is saying, but he is probably telling him to, haha, you lost, you lost, you lost. And now Doyou pushing Sasu in, and Sasu calls the GG. As he doesn't even call the GG, he says something BM, and he leaves the game without calling a GG. And Doyou wins that game after 11 minutes and 30 seconds, about to fly in another drop from the top side that Sasu, I don't think, would have been able to deal with. And this is a nice game where Sasu gets completely out-macroed. And not out-microed, just completely out-macroed by Doyou. And Doyou goes for the superior option in adding more gateways and having more units out on the map. And Sasu, unable to respond adequately, loses the game. And I hope you enjoyed that one. It was fun to cast this one. A lot of fighting happening. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.